I'm angry and very worried this week, which is one of the reasons I'm wearing this black armband called for by the South African National Editors Forum to support those of our colleagues in journalism who have been threatened, but also more widely to support the whole idea of media freedom and freedom of expression. Because we this week have moved a step closer to that slippery slope that ends with the destruction of freedom of the media and freedom of expression. It was highlighted by the death of Suna Venter, one of the brave SABC 8 who dared to oppose censorship at the SABC, at the state broadcaster. Contributory factors to her death were undoubtedly the assaults and the intimidation that she suffered. Then this was followed by the threats by a tiny group known as the Black First, Land First, political illiterates who have launched threats against a number of journalists. But such behavior, on the lunatic fringe of politics is actually encouraged by elements within the ANC that persist in insisting that unrest in the townships, that protests, etc., are part of some sort of imperialist plot to bring about regime change. These are the same people who also call for unity at all costs, unprincipled unity. They also call for discipline, by which they mean toe the line, yours not to reason why, yours but to blindly obey. I spoke this week to Zwelinzima Vavi, the General Secretary of the South African Federation of Trade Unions and formerly the General Secretary of COSATU. And I must say I agree with him that this sort of attitude encourages the sort of paranoia that existed in the exile movement. Now that was at a period when there were political thugs and politically illiterate thugs who were undoubtedly encouraged by infiltrators and agents of the apartheid state, who arrested, tortured, executed good, loyal ANC comrades who had dared to question the orientation and the policies of the leadership. Now, I think that every citizen in this country who has any care whatsoever for democracy should be concerned. Media workers, journalists, reporters, editors, photographers, camera people, they have an incredibly important function in any sort of society that has a pretense to democracy. Journalism should be, and journalists should be, the eyes and ears of the public at large. It's an incredibly important role, and it puts journalism, I think, almost on a vocational plane rather than as a mere job. Of course, there are many examples of slipping standards, of poor standards, of politicians giving brown envelopes to journalists for favorable coverage, of editors who perhaps bribed or fearful for their jobs or other sort of intimidation, who've allowed their publications to be abused by business people, by media owners, etc. But this is something that, of course, is not a peculiarly South African phenomenon. Around the world today, journalism, media freedom, freedom of expression is everywhere under threat. And I think it is time for all of us who really care about any democratic future to try to pull back from that slippery slope. Anyhow, that will be the focus of my Inside Labour column this week, which you can access on this platform, Fin24, tomorrow, and a version of which will appear in the City Press on Sunday. Until then, if you support the whole concept of supporting the media, of supporting media freedom, do let us know at editor@fin24.com. If you oppose, let's hear why you oppose. Give your reasons also to editor@fin24.com. And for this week, that's all from me. Cheers.